Welcome to episode 3, Abigail Recovery's Listen Up podcast. I want to welcome the Recovery Collective this month onto our podcast. We're going to speak about the upcoming gig at Queen's Park Arena in July the 6th, and we're going to speak to both Derek and Shaun about this. Abigail sponsors the event, so this is something that's really kind of close to home to myself as well, because I'm part of the Recovery Collective. So this one's going to be easy this month. So welcome on to the podcast, guys.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for inviting us on, man.
Okay, so we're just going to start up. Derek, what is the Recovery Collective? How did it start?
Pure big question, is it? Because I think it started, what was it? What year was it? 2000 and... What were we at?
2018.
19 or 18? 2019, 18. So I think the idea was, it was quite... The way it kind of happened was like we had that opportunity. Like I think somebody put us in contact with Chet from in-house doing it. Queen's Ball, they're the people that run it in-house. They run Queen's Park Arena. So he kind of put us in, somebody put us in contact with them. I went down and kind of spoke to them and stuff like that. And I did I worked for another organisation. It was kind of like I approached them to see if they would be up for putting on this event. And they kind of came back to us and says that they wouldn't be able to do it at this point in time. So it was like I did spoke with yourself and Shaun, and we were like, all right, how do we, this is a great opportunity, it's a great venue, right in the heart of Glasgow, Queen's Park. It was like a bandstand that just looked beautiful, and the guy was really supportive of us and what we were trying to do. So it kind of was born for that. But I think early days, it was a steep learning curve for us, because it was like, in order to get money to put on an event like that, you need to become like a registered charity or a community interest company, so we went down the route of becoming a community interest company, and it kind of just started from there. We applied to the National Lottery. We were quite lucky. I think over the years, the event has grown and it's got bigger and bigger, and so is the costs and stuff like that. But I think that first year we put it on, it was something like £5,000, and I think there was 400 people, 500 people came to it, But I think us, the Recovery Collective, 3 mates in recovery for addiction ourselves, love of music, very similar music tastes as everybody here, so I think it was just that we wanted to put on some sort of event, something like music that we kind of like and stuff like that, and for people in recovery and things like that. And I think the idea of it was always about, it was an alcohol-free event, but it wasn't so much a recovery event. And it is a recovery event because the majority of the people that come to it are people in recovery, but the whole idea of it was trying to create an event that was more about being an alcohol-free event. So people in recovery came along to it, but you also had the wider community coming along to it as well, coming along to something that was just we've been there all growing up and stuff like that, going to things like Tea in the Park, loads of different festivals, music, and it's pure carnage, is it? So it was kind of wanting to do something that was a bit different, where it was alcohol free, people are coming for the music and stuff like that, and really enjoying it. And I think that's kind of where it started. And then obviously we've learnt loads as the years went on. Is it kind of at the start we kind of didn't really know what we were doing, and that was across the board. There wasn't just getting bands. I think the first couple of years we got some good tribute acts and stuff like Resurrection and Stop the Clocks and things like that, mixed in with a few bands in recovery and things like that. But I think as we've grown and developed, and as I was saying, it wasn't just about the actual music and getting bands along to it as well. We had to learn how to be a charity or a community interest company. We had to learn about applying for funding. We had to learn about managing funding, yearly accounts, having accountants and all this sort of stuff. So there's loads that we've learned over the year to where we're at now, where some of the contacts, obviously over the past couple of years, Eddie, you've been taking on a lot of the booking of bands and stuff like that, and some of the connections you've made with people like Alan McGee and things like that. But we're basically just a group of mates that love music. We're kind of grown, well, apart from Shaun's a wee bit younger, but we're brought up in the 90s with bands like Stone Roses, Happy Mondays. We're just sort of speaking about Happy Mondays and that there, so we're kind of brought up in the 90s with that kind of indie swagger type thing. I think that is what our vision of what this event was about. And we were really smart. See, the marketing, we were quite smart around the start of it, because it's a small event. It's on during the day. It's on from 12 till 6:30. But when we were like hyping it at the start, we were like Scotland's first alcohol-free music festival. Like it was like the next tea in the park sort of thing and that. Like, so we were kind of smart, and it did. Like I think when we were like posting on social media, when we were speaking to people about it and stuff like that, it kind of. It's like I think like last year it was like you put it out on Abbey Care's, like through Abbey Care's media channels and stuff like that, and it got picked up from like what's it like Glasgow Live and Renfrewshire Live and things like that. Like and they were posting it on social media and things, and it's like there was a lot of like people. Remember we were laughing at the comments of some of the things people were saying, like an alcohol-free festival. It'll be like your granddad's up like dancing and all that. So it's kind of like. It's interesting because we purposely chose to call it a festival because all publicity is good publicity, and I think that was quite a good wee marketing thing at the start. Like, you know what I mean, because nobody's ever seen an event like that. And don't get us wrong, at the start it was a small event with like 400 people attending, but like last year there was over 2,000 people, so it's became quite a big event in that area of Glasgow. And there's good things about it as well because it's just like. Obviously the music, it brings recovery communities from all over Scotland. We've got like about 16 stalls. There's like different like mental health charities, addiction charities, recovery communities have all got stalls. People come from all over Scotland, but it's right in the heart of Glasgow in Queen's Park where there's like all the different ethnic minorities and things like that. And it brings in loads of different people's cultures and all that stuff. And that's what I love about it. It's became a community event. It's a community alcohol-free event. And it is like what our thing about it is, it's that we are people in recovery. So the event challenges stigma surrounding addiction. Like you see all the headlines surrounding addiction and all that sort of stuff. But and we never really wanted to get caught up in any of that type of thing. But this is a positive story. It's people in recovery doing something. Like I've always kind of seen it as a wee bit of like we did 12-step stuff and that and. Your amends process to the community and stuff like that. And I've always kind of felt this is like me doing something back to my community because we did. It's like we did it voluntary. We don't pay ourselves anything for this. We do it because, as I said right at the very start, this is three mates that love music. They want to put on a music event, and I know we'll probably get into that later. But there's been some like surreal moments over the past. Few years, especially the past 2 or 3 years, when we start to get like bigger names and that but
I think that's something that the three of us feel really kind of proud of as well, isn't it? You know, we've not went in there for an earner. We put this festival on for free. You know, the people can come along, and we've rarely had any issues at that as well. So there's something very different there, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, around about the kind of energy that event gives off. And like you're saying, Derek, there's people kind of commenting on Facebook, probably younger guys going like that.
Of course.
I couldn't think of anything worse to go along to a music event without any alcohol.
Experienced it.
Aye, without any alcohol and stuff. But there's something quite different about it. There's many kind of recovery focused events now, music events and stuff like that as well. You know, and I think there's something unique about our one, and I think we always try to keep it unique with the kind of lineup and the acts and stuff.
Definitely.
Shaun, you've played at the event with your band, the Hazy Sundays. Obviously, me and Derek haven't played at it. What was that like as an artist playing there to
Amazing.
the crowd compared to other gigs?
It's amazing, and it's that thing. It's like you're still getting such a good reception, and you could see people are just clearly right into the gig and enjoying it and stuff. So it's like it's a whole different sort of vibe, and obviously because it's such a big scale event as well. So you're playing to such a huge audience. It was an amazing experience, and certainly wasn't any different to playing at a gig. Probably just as enjoyable as playing to any gig, because people are just getting into it naturally, and just the total buzz for being there for the day. So that's an amazing experience.
It's kind of like, see, around the full event, it's like we've created this wee family of people that are involved in it. See, when you think of like, from the very start, we've had the same people that have done the video for it and stuff like that. Like, obviously, big shout out to like Chet and the rest of the team at in-house and stuff like that, because they make us look really good, like with what they do for that venue, like and they've kind of grown that and developed that over the years as well. And the venue is like beautiful with all the big stretch tents and where all like the stalls are and stuff like that, like but we all just bring, I think it just kind of works really well because you've got people that are involved in it that really like to be involved in it because they like what it is that we're doing and what we're achieving by it, like but then the music, the vibe, everything about it, it's just a dead nice
good day.
It's a great day.
Really good atmosphere.
So you spoke a wee bit earlier, and obviously this is an Abbey Care kind of recovery focus kind of podcast and stuff. Are you okay kind of just talking about your kind of background, coming into recovery, and maybe a wee bit of your background with kind of bands or music in the past?
And probably just, I'm happy to say a wee bit on that, but probably just to say, while we're on this, and it is Abbey Care's podcast and stuff like that, just to say thank you to Abbey Care, because like you said at the start, Eddie, that Abbey Care is a sponsor and stuff like that, and like I'm not going to mention people's names, but when we've approached Abbey Care, they've just been very open to supporting what it is, and it's just dead appreciated. Like there's been a few organisations that have been really helpful and like bringing like donations and sponsorship and money towards this event. Like it's no, as I say, it's not really about money, but it's just that people really want to help us, and I don't know, like we don't know what it is that people see in us, like but there's a lot of support from people out there, and Abbey Care have been really good with that from the start. So just thank you to that, like
And I think it's okay for me to mention as well, your employer Shaun, who's our other main sponsor with you. You know, so both of them have been there from the start and very supportive and stuff like
hugely
that.
Supportive.
And this stuff doesn't happen without that backing.
I
I think even like the first year, a lot of that was like a lot of relied on sort of sponsorship and stuff as well by services, and everybody has been so supportive.
And a lot of that's came from our relationships with those like organisations. I used to work with you, me and Shaun both worked with you and stuff like that, but I don't know, it's just you're good at building relationships with people, because I think like it's hard when you're sitting on something like this to start saying nice things about yourself, like but we do try to be genuine people, like we have went through the recovery programs, and I'll say a wee bit about that and stuff like that, and we do try to be open and honest and just try and be nice people, like and I think people see that in us, like we're doing this for the right reasons, we're not doing it to stroke with any egos or nothing like that, like like I think all three of us, like we do the bits where like obviously I do the wee bit where I go on the stage and do the you are the recovery collective, we are the recovery collective, you're the recovery collective and stuff like that, but it's just a bit of banter, that kind of thing, like and like I feel really uncomfortable in situations like this on stages and stuff like that, like but I'm up for it. I mean, I'm not great at this sort of stuff. I'm not great at getting on stages and speaking, but I'm up for it because it's for a good cause and it's something that we believe in, like I mean.
So tell us a wee bit about your journey then, Derek, how you get into recovery.
Long journey, man. I think I'm not going to spend ages because it's a big long story, like that we all know that we can sit and do like 30-minute shares on and stuff like that, but originally for Dundee, you probably not be able to tell by the accent and stuff like that, because it's kind of like this hybrid accent between Glasgow and Dundee, where I'm in this stage where when I'm in Glasgow I get pelters for speaking like a Dundonian, and then when I'm up in Dundee I get pelters
you can still tell he's Dundonian. You've no lost your twang, Deke.
I know, that is. But so originally for Dundee, came down here for rehab when I was 21-year-old, if you can believe that, like I am coming up for 45 this year, like so a long kind of journey with addiction and recovery and stuff like that, but went into a rehab down here at 21, kind of didn't really understand what it was about. Done well while I was in the place, like but I kind of left, went back to Dundee, and because I think like what we've learned about addiction over the years is that it's not so much about the substance. So when I first went into rehab, I kind of thought that if I put down smack or opiates and all that type of thing, that I would be fine and I can drink and I can go out and live a normal life and take cocaine and all this sort of stuff. But it wasn't the case, and I had to go back out and kind of learn that stuff for myself, like but then eventually came back down when I was 29 into the same rehab, which I was very fortunate to get, because I know there was obviously it's not the easiest thing for people from Dundee to get like funding to get in a rehab, so I was quite fortunate to get that twice. And I kind of probably learned a wee bit more than I did the first time, but still left that and kind of went out and thought that I knew better than everybody else and had a drink and stuff like that. And eventually got to a point where I kind of felt that I was just kind of repeating. Because I did flirt with fellowships like NA and stuff like that before I kind of went back into it full time sort of thing, and kind of always just struggled with it. Like, obviously in hindsight and things like that, I was struggled with self, not so much the meetings. Like, it was just kind of the way I felt and stuff like that. So I eventually I remember it clearly. I think I can't remember exactly how many years. I think it's 12 years or something like that. But it was on New Year's Eve. Like, I went out with my pals, went back to Dundee, went out. Like, this was after being in rehab, and I think I had a house in Glasgow, and I was just having a drink and doing all sort of stuff, and then went back to Dundee for the new year. I out with all my old pals from school and all this sort of stuff, like, and everybody's like taking coke and all that type of thing, like, and I remember I just got that moment of clarity when I was just sitting there, and I was just like, it felt like I was about 13-year-old, and I was 30-year-old, like, and I was writing the exact same stuff as I was doing when I was younger, and I left that house on New Year's Day, went back to my mum and dad's house in Dundee, like, stayed there for about 3 or 4 days to recover, and then I came back and I met somebody for the fellowship in Glasgow, went for like to a Chinese restaurant, like, and I remember like when I met him, and he will remember this as well, like, but kind of like just sort of broke down, kind of like really broken, and that was me. I think that was my point of surrender, like, and that's when I kind of took on board what they speak about within fellowships and 12 steps, and went through a program, and I've never, thank God, never like used again, stuff like that, like, so.
Yeah. And during that time, Derek, what was your experience, kind of music? What was your bands? Were you involved in music?
I've got a little degree in music technology, like, so although I kind of was out the madness of addiction and alcohol and drugs and all that sort of stuff, like, I still went to college, and like went up to Perth College, done like an NCH, ND, and then when I was back in Glasgow, I ended up doing a degree at Cumbernauld College or University of West Scotland. So I've got like, was always like Shaun will know as well, because we never knew each other when we both stayed in Dundee, but we kind of hang about the same place, like the Doghouse in Dundee, and always in about people with music, bands. Like, all my friends were in bands. Kind of like, one of my best mates, he was like a lead guitarist for a band, and he was brilliant, but I was always kind of jealous of them. So I think that's how I went and did the music production and stuff like that, because I think I was like about 27. I was just like, you're not going to be a rock star now, like, you've missed the boat, like, so if you want to be involved in music, maybe go and do some like sound production and stuff like that. And don't get us wrong, don't really use any of that stuff now. Like, obviously, in relation to what we do, the event and all that, having all that knowledge is a good thing. Even like when we're doing things like this podcast, and like we're speaking about the future of Recovery Collective away from here, where we're speaking about doing more community-based stuff, where we're doing like music-type projects, stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff that I've learned will come in handy for that type of thing, like, but I've just always been involved in music my full life, like, and like from as far back as I can remember,
And we'll move on a wee bit when we go to Shaun. We'll speak about that kind of music scene up in Dundee at that time when you were growing up, because it was really lively, vibrant music scene back then. Shaun, your journey into recovery,
so
what did that look like?
My journey was quite similar to Derek's. It was like I came through to Glasgow to get recovery, and it was I was just up in Dundee, and it was probably a lot of my addiction started in the music scene up in Dundee. I was just sort of caught up partying a bit too hard and getting involved like with harder drugs. Drugs I always says I would never get involved with. And my addiction just sort of progressed, and then it became to that point of just sort of being totally isolated in my house, and that sort of like lifestyle I had, like playing in bands and like a sort of social circle, I'd sort of fell away from it, and I was really isolated myself, and my substance use just progressed to harder drugs. And then getting the chance, fortunately, to come through to a treatment centre in Glasgow, and sort of going through that journey and doing treatment and stuff. And then it's just been sort of like in Glasgow now, it's just like sort of hooking up. Obviously I met people like yourself and Derek, and getting that sort of support network in place in Glasgow. and just sort of decided to stick about here and to stay in Glasgow and to not go back to Dundee, because obviously there was a really good sort of recovery community here as such in Glasgow, and just deciding to stay.
So what was your experience in the past, Shaun? Bands, you spoke about being in bands in the past. How did that journey start?
So starting my band, so like high school, it was like my school, everybody was into like Oasis and stuff, and like the band of you, they were at my high school. They were a band called the Casuals at the time. So they used to do like the talent shows and stuff, and they would do like Oasis covers and stuff, and it was like, used to look up to the guys, and we'd all be playing guitars and just trying to learn songs off each other, and you would look up to the guys and they'd be playing at the talent shows and they'd be playing like proper class version of like Oasis tunes, like Stone Roses Bang On, and thinking I want to get in a band myself. I sort of want to be in a band, and just starting wee bands in school, and then sort of following on as well, doing like talent shows, and then just wee bands out with school, and then I just progressing into getting into a band where you got to that age where we were able to do like proper gigs and stuff, and probably at that point was, as I say, it was like I was caught up in that sort of party scene, and the sort of addiction side of things spiraled a wee bit, and that was probably due to, I suppose, I sort of like musicians that were a bit chaotic and stuff like that back in that time, and I sort of liked all that side of things, and probably just got a bit caught up as well. And probably a lot of it as well, the bottom line was, it was a confidence thing as well. I probably used a lot of substances before gigs and that, because deep down I wasn't that confident.
Right.
So probably a lot of the stuff was relating to that.
In the band you were in at that time, did you become part of that scene, do you feel, at the time?
Definitely in Dundee, we were definitely part of that scene. So it was like Derek was talking about the Doghouse.
Yeah.
That was like the sort of like the main venue in Dundee.
The hub.
It was just where everybody, it was like the venue to play and stuff. So we were obviously in my wee band. My wee band at the time was called The Trend, and it was a lot of good times. You know what I mean? It was like obviously like Dundee had obviously the university and stuff as well, so there was a lot of students and stuff. So it would be like Tuesday nights there'd be a gig on in the Doghouse, and it could be busier than a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So it was like there was just gigs. There was so many bands, and obviously the View had just sort of got their deal, and so they were like, so that was, and that probably had that sort of knock-on effect to loads of other people starting bands, because it was like you were seeing it was possible, sort of these working class guys starting a band and sort of breaking into a UK #1 album and stuff, and seeing like how sort of big things got for them. So loads of different bands, everybody was just starting bands, and there was such a huge music scene. So you're talking about that like 2006 to 2008 in Dundee, the music scene was jumping, and we were definitely part of that wee scene.
Derek, I know you said that you came down to Glasgow when you were 21 for recovery at first. Were you still part of that scene up in Dundee at that time?
Because a lot of my friends were in like my mate Snee, The Fever and stuff like that, so they were in bands that went to play the Doghouse, and I had like friends of other bands that played there and stuff like that. So I think I was really pally with the people that like the licensee and stuff like that. So I spent probably a lot of my time in the Doghouse back between probably about the same time you're speaking. I think probably left rehab 2002, went back to Dundee, I think I tried wee bits in here to go to the fellowship and stuff like that, but kind of wasn't really ready to give up alcohol and drinking and stuff like that. And me and my mate, there was like Lee the Flea and Fun Time Frankie, like we had a flat.
Lee the Flea, the bassist.
We had a flat in Dundee City Centre, so, and he worked in the Doghouse, so like majority of I would always go along there when he was working, and it'd be that case where you would give him 20 quid for a pint, and he would give you 1950 back or something, so you would spend your full day in there, but it was a great venue, there was like obviously all the local bands and the View, and you had the Law and all that as well, there was loads of really good local bands, but they also used to bring in a lot of good bands, like people like the Beta Band and stuff like that used to come up. Chris Helm came and played it at one point as well.
It was a really well sort of venue.
The guy what was it, Shed 7, Rick Witter, I think when he had the other bands, Rick Witter and the Jukes they played there, and I ended up working. I used to work for Audio Wave, there was a company that done all the sound engineering, so it was kind of round about the time when I was going to college and that, so I used to work for Audio Wave and I would do the sound in the dog. Well, support him to do the sound in the doghouse in different venues, the reading rooms and all the art school and stuff like that. I used to kind of like support him with the PA and that, so very much involved in that scene. Like, but
It was an exciting time back then.
It was, but again, it was one of the times where it was like, for people like us, it was brilliant because of the music and stuff like that, but it was also no great because like I like, as I said, I'd been to rehab and I came back and I was probably drinking most days at that point. Like I probably a lot of denial, didn't really think that alcohol was a problem for me because I wasn't like physically addicted to it like but like obviously what we've learned about addiction over the years and all that, I'm an addict and it's more about my thinking, my behaviour, that whole obsession or the way I see drinking drugs like that. But I was drinking every day back then, like I drinking every day, smoking hash. Like we had this wee flat in the city centre and it was just like, you would have seen it, it was just like rough, just tins everywhere, like good times. But it's like, although it was madness, good times within it, but just doesn't work for people like us, like you know what I mean?
But what's come out of that is your background in music, isn't it, for both you and Shaun, you know, and that continuing in your recovery, because sometimes it could be pictured, recovery can be pictured as, right, everything has to go, now you get in recovery, and as if you have this robotic life. And I think when we got together regarding discussing, setting up the recovery collective and what we were looking to do, it came for that, didn't it? You know, and as much as we were going about to gigs and stuff at that time, together and stuff, and there is alcohol and drugs and stuff about, we had enough, you know, about us to be able to do that, you know, and we can still do that. But I think, would you agree? I think we became aware that some people maybe at earlier stages can't attend these kind of events and stuff because of the risks.
Definitely, and I think it's that thing. It's like, I suppose it's like early doors of going to gigs and stuff. Like obviously, like I was going to like tea in the park, like quite early doors, but I was with people who were really long term recovery. I think it comes down to that thing. It's like who you're associating yourself with and who you're going to these events with. I think it's like just somebody like early doors, like just going to a gig themselves or with their old mates or something could be risky. But I think if you've got a good support network in place, it can be dangerous.
No, it's because even remember when you think about, remember when we were at Transmit that year, like I think we spent like the majority, like, because like the way Transmit kind of works is like you go in and you kind of go back out. If once you're in, like I think we went to see a band at maybe like 1 o'clock or something, and then we were staying to see Libertines or something at like
night.
At the last band, and we ended up sitting most of the day beside the welfare tent, like just
coffee.
away from all the chaos and the madness. But because it's like it's bonkers. It's like it's a long day to be at a festival from like 12 o'clock to like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It's a long day there when you're not drinking. Like it's like what you were saying about that. You've got that sort of mental ability and stuff like that, but I guess it drains. It's like, see, when we speak about that kind of like your recovery battery or your charge or something like that. I always feel when I'm at an event like that, as the day progresses, I feel myself getting more and more drained, and my tolerance towards people, alcohol, and the situation I'm in becomes more of a challenge. Like, so you can see why that stuff is really dangerous for people. And I think that's the beauty of our event, is that is
a safe place to go and enjoy music without any of that carnage.
And I think the good thing about our event as well, and you see it often, people can come and go in and out the event if it's getting too busy for them, or if they're overwhelmed or anything, you know, it just seems to work. Right, let's get back on to Recovery Connects Festival. So can you just remember what the lineup was for the first year? Who put it on?
I could remember, it was Stop the Clocks.
Yeah.
Stop the Clocks, Oasis tribute band. We had Resurrection. We had, is it the Red Rag Band or something?
We had like
was that what they were called?
New Rhythms from Glasgow. So it was the Red Rubies. Was
the Red Rubies, that was it.
The young team.
What else was on the? You had there was a lot of the Scottish hip hop. So there was quite a few of the Scottish hip hop acts on as well.
Homegrown. Was it that?
I think that was sort of it, was it? It was the Scottish hip hop acts. Did we
not have? Was that the year we done like Northwest Recovery Communities come up and minded done the
they done
that way and stuff?
The reason I was asking that there, because it gives you a wee kind of picture about how we started out, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and see the kind of bands, and no disrespect to any of the bands on there. That was a great event for us to put on. It was opening one and stuff like that. But over the years, we've kind of developed and grew. You know, bar one year when we get rained off one year, then we absolutely flooded the stage and stuff like that. That was a nightmare that year, and maybe sometimes that could have been enough for us to call it a day and say we weren't equipped. I believe, certainly for me, it gave me more kind of passion to make sure the next event was better.
Never seen somebody use a sweeping brush so well.
Oh, no.
Deek like that, right in front of the stage, sweeping the water away.
It was chaos, but that was mental. And Chet running about trying to put.
I don't think I've ever seen rain like that in my life.
I know, and the way Queen's Park Arena is with the steps and the stage is only.
It was just absolute madness.
It was on the back of like 2 being postponed because of like all the COVID stuff as well. So it'd been waiting like near enough 2 years between. I think it was the first or second one to this one to get on, and then
who was actually meant to be playing that year? Was it Ocean Colour Scheme? Were they not actually
John Mancini in that? So I think it was like Abbey Care, like Liam Abbey Care kind of got.
Or was
John Mancini.
Was there a Primal Scream tribute that year or something? Were they no booked?
Nah,
the Decadent movement.
Oh, the Decadent movement. Aye, they were. I remember that. That was going to be like their first gig.
Yeah, just John Mancini and say the gigs. It's not happening. Like we need to. But they were good that he came back the year after to play again. Right. Like
Mog, he was meant to be playing that year as well with the Ducks. They were called.
So if we think about it over the years, certainly after the one that get cancelled and stuff, you know, the kind of quality acts and stuff, and we have, you know, we're not trying to blow our own trumpet here, but we've decent acts for a free festival set up by a few guys together, and an alcohol-free event as well. You know, what was the numbers that was through the door the first event? Did you say 400?
I think it was 500, something around
and what
about
was
that time.
Last year's figures?
Like over 2,000 anyway. I can't remember exactly, but
it's over 2,000.
That's like over the course of a day. So it's like it's not 2,000 at the same time. It's like so many people coming and going, because there's a lot of people that maybe just come in and have a wee nosy about and through the stalls and go and listen to a couple of bands and leave. But I think usually, like for the most part, it probably sits around about 1,000 people are in the venue at the same time. But over the course of the day, 2,000 to 3,000 people.
You can see the difference in the arena part. Like now, it's just
it's filled
totally
up massively. Like we get people, like as I say, like we've got people that like come from away up in Aberdeen, Inverness, Dumfries and Galloway, the Borders, like religiously every year. Like so it was like the first year we had to do loads of promotion and all that. Like but in terms of like recovery communities and stuff like that, recovery communities come, and thank God to them, and I really appreciate everybody that does come from all over Scotland to come to this event. It's greatly appreciated and stuff like that. Like but they come every year. And obviously we need to keep putting a good lineup on and stuff like that, so people will keep coming in that. Like, but I think our focus is always on now trying to get more people from the local community to come into it and that. Like, more people that are just interested in an alcohol-free event rather than it being a recovery event. Because there's been the lassie that kind of follows on Twitter and that. I remember last year she came because she loved John Powers. Like,
Audrey.
She's like, I really love that, because that's like
just a music lover.
Just a music lover that comes to our gig because we put on good bands and good music. Like,
definitely.
And as we've got more confident in relation to that. Like, obviously, as a team effort and stuff like that, but obviously hats off to yourself, Eddie, for the work that you do surrounding music and bands and the connections and stuff like that. Like, because you've put a lot into that over the past few years. Like,
and I think that's a good thing about this collective, isn't it? That we've all got our own kind of talent, haven't we? You know, and we've all got our own thing that we bring to it, and it just, I don't know if it's lucky that it works, but it works. So, lineup for this year, obviously, but we've not officially released it yet on social media, but by the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be out. So what can we look forward to this year? What's the date this year?
So this year it's the 6th of July, so it's kind of, as I say, it's part of a programme of events that in-house CIC put on at Queen's Park Arena. So it's their programme of events, and our event is, I think it's the opening weekend, so there's an event on Saturday, and then we're on the Sunday, the 6th of July. So the first time we done this was in May, and you always get good weather in May, right? So fair dues, it's been moved to July now, and like 6th of July is kind of culminating at that time because it always rains at Teen Park. So fingers crossed, We've been very lucky in terms of the weather and stuff like that. It's always been really sunny and that. So 6th of July, Sunday the 6th of July from 12 to 6:30 p.m. at Queen's Park Arena in Glasgow. But I think you should do the honours of the lineup, like, hey, because it's your baby, like.
We can. So we did something different this year. We always like to get somebody who is in recovery and who's a musician opening it up. You know, we kind of agreed that we're going to do that last year. We had Paul Byrne, didn't we? A friend of ours, Paul Byrne, who opened it up.
Amazing.
And we put it a few months ago. We put it out in a competition for people to apply for the opening act, and it ended up that Laurie, a person that we know, a guy in recovery, ended up winning that competition with his track that he sent over. We really loved it. It was a great tune.
It was
wasn't
brilliant.
It was a great tune. But we just want to thank for everybody else that applied for that.
Quite a lot of people applied.
There was a lot of people applied, you know, and it'd be great if we could accommodate everybody, but we couldn't do that. So we're delighted that Laurie's going to be opening us up, you know, and a lot of people know him in the recovery community as well. A lot of comments when we announced him, you know, on that as well. So I think it's important we always keep that at the core of our event as well, isn't it? You know, we said kind of Shaun and his band played it for a couple of years in a row as well, you know, with that kind of lived experience as well. And, you know, we're not going to kind of break into his anonymity and stuff like that, but some of the acts we've had on, you know, have kind of spoke to us about their own kind of journey, maybe not particularly in kind of recovery, but their own kind of challenges with addiction issues or mental health issues and stuff. And that's when you really know, isn't it? You know that you're doing something right and people are admiring it.
This stuff does hit a nerve with people, like, hey, because addiction is, although it is about, like, we speak about addiction, but it's all about your mental well-being and stuff like that. Like, that's a lot of the reasons that people like us take drugs is because of our mental well-being. So everybody's identified with that that's came and played at our event. Like, and I think see some of the, like, I know you're speaking about the lineup, but just see some of the comments that we've had from people on the videos and all that. I always remember, like, obviously Bez, great comments as well, but see, like, what Chris Helm was saying about, like, he always goes to gigs and he's had a drink and stuff like that, like, to come and play at an event. It was quite liberating, like, to play,
first time
to play sober and everybody else is sober, like,
I think Bez, he said the same thing as well. That was his first time playing an event.
That's the two standouts for me. What Chris Helm said there about that, then Bez.
Bez is, it's great to be straight.
Aye. You know, but then he said, but you remember we were talking to him and getting interviews on camera, and he says, no, what? This has gave me a bit of inspiration. If you can do it, I can do it. Do you know what I mean? What he does with that is neither here nor there, but for a second, Bez maybe got a thought in his head, maybe I can do this.
He was a great guy, but
he was amazing.
Like, I know we're going to go on this, but he was his attitude towards the people at that event was great, amazing. Like, great.
Yeah. Takes so much time with him.
So Laurie Moran, opening act this year, acoustic. Next up after that in the lineup, we've got
Amy Rogers
for Good Clean Fun. So Amy's played the event before. Good Clean Fun, another recovery CIC organisation as well. You know, they run a really kind of hip, kind of groovy dance event in
just
Glasgow.
A really good vibe, is it? It's kind of like a funky house type vibe, and I think even like
great sound,
the setup of this, the way this room is, the new, that's what their events look like. The way it's set up, it's just got a dead chilled, happy, like kind of
quite unique
vibe,
like kind of New York thing. Would I be right in saying that kind of organisation was kind of
they're cool. They're just dead cool. I like them.
So something a wee bit different, though, about Good Clean Fun and Amy's kind of set this year. They are playing the main stage. But they'll also be spinning tunes during the day in the stall area all throughout the day, you know. So even if you're away from the main stage and you're not watching the act that's on, there'll be a nice feel through there as well. So
and she's also going to do, like, between acts and stuff like that, she's going to come up and spin some tunes. So I think we really liked her last year. Like, I think, like, well, no, it wasn't a surprise because I've like listened to some of the stuff they've done in that, like, but I thought she was really good. Just her vibe, the crowd really loved what she was doing and stuff like that. So I think we really connected with it. Like,
I think what we will say while we're announcing the lineup is at the end of each event, we put out a feedback form for the people that is there, what they want more of, and people have spoke more about more kind of
Dance.
kind of upbeat kind of music and stuff. If it was left to us free, we'd have indie music getting played for 12 to 6:30, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's a balance, because I kind of feel that my music taste, I love like all the indie bands and that, but I kind of like what that Amy and that does, like that kind of like groovy house music, like electro, kind of like chill beat stuff. So I like a bit of dance music as well, like, so I think it's good to have a wee balance, like,
Yeah, I mean, it's got that kind of summery feel as well, isn't it? That
for me, it's
kind
that we're hitting that kind of like that. See the vibe of the 90s, like, that's all our music tastes like. That's how we've all connected with each other, is through 90s indie music, like, and there was always like dance music littered through that, like Daft Punk, Groove Armada, all that type of thing, like, so there's always kind of a cool type of dance music that I see as 90s indie as well, like,
Then next on the lineup, we've got a band that was supposed to play a few years ago. Was it the one where we get rained off? Anyway, we've been in contact with them anyway. It was Ocean. It's a Ocean Colour Scene tribute band, Ocean Colour Scheme. So they'll be playing this year, you know, and they've got a really good name. I've watched them, you know, and I'm sure it's something that's going to get really down really well at an event.
Everybody will know the songs.
We've been speaking with Stevie for the band, you know, and they're buzzing to play with our event this year, because they as well remember that I might be playing it, so that's going to be good as well, and they're big kind of fans of our event, and very positive about that. Next in the lineup, we've got, you know, when we go back to kind of dance event, so we're going to have DJ Snoopy. Snoopy's somebody that used to play the Metro nightclub when I was growing up in Saltcoats. He's a friend of mine. He's been a resident DJ on Tenerife. He moved over there in '94 or something, you know. So he's flying, jetting in. Snoopy's jetting in for the Recovery Connects. But
it's just saying that though, is it? Like we've got, well, like, when you're posting that he was playing in that, like, we've got somebody flying in from Tenerife. The big time now. We're flying people in for that.
Snoopy's a great guy himself, and again, his tunes are going to be that kind of summer vibe, you know, kind of holiday Tenerife vibe, you know, really kind of good. Then we're two headliners, are we calling it? We're kind of calling it this year. We've got a headline band and we've got a headline DJ. Then we just announced this yesterday, so we've got the Blue Tones coming to play an acoustic set for us, you know, so we're delighted, and I'm sure that it's going to go down great with the crowd just here, and we've been delighted to be able to get them on my lineup as well, and it's mad, isn't it? We're just rhyming off kind of names like the Blue Tones. This was all bands. I was buying the CD in the 90s as well.
There are the surreal moments. You know, we've not kind of met them yet, but that's been, see, over the years of some of the people we have had along, because it's like when you were 16-year-old, you were listening to this stuff like at parties and wherever, like, and going to their gigs and all that, and then you're standing like backstage with them having interviews, and that's just dead surreal, is it? It's class,
definitely, man. It's cool.
And to finish off the day, and I'm sure this is going to get down great, because I know speaking with his manager, what his set's going to be like, and it's Leroy Thornhill, ex-Prodigy. So Leroy's a top well-known DJ, you know, but I think something that's going to get down really well at our event is his set as a full Prodigy journey all through the era and stuff like that, you know, so the place is going to be jumping to that this year, isn't it?
He's doing loads of, like, I kind of, when we were looking at him, because he does a lot of stuff out there as well. I think, like, the last time we were trying to get him last year, but he was playing Glastonbury and stuff like that.
He was just playing down at that Pavilion Fest.
Was he playing there?
Was he playing down there just at the weekend?
Just stealing our bands or DJs.
He was playing down there.
So I think we do all right, don't we? You know, to get a kind of line up like that. And as we say, it's a free event. MD's welcome to come along. You can pop in for certain acts. You can come along, stay all day. You know, it's really kind of family friendly event as well, isn't it? But just on that kind of lineup, we've also got another new signing this summer as well. So the compare's going to be Dan Connell this year as well. So it's brilliant. Dan's going to come along, and I'm sure he'll
be
fling in
great
a
for
bit
it.
of humour
Yeah.
throughout that.
Totally.
It'll be a great day. So if you can make it, I would encourage people to come along.
100%.
It'll be a great day. Hopefully we get the weather for it, but it is always a really good day.
We're always quite lucky. Apart from that one time, the heavens poured, but I think that was enough rain that time for all the events. So hopefully,
you're talking
be
probably
good.
about, there's probably about in that event probably 700 people or so that are familiar with each other, like, and they're all there to have a good time, like, so it is a great vibe, and anybody that comes along, it's made you feel really welcome.
That's what we're talking about as well. It's like the last couple of years, there's been a lot more people just coming out with people who maybe are in the recovery communities, but just wanting to come to an alcohol-free event to just enjoy music and to go to gigs. Is what their passion is at the weekends and stuff, and coming along. So there's a lot of, certainly I've seen a lot of faces there of people who are just in the music scene in general and just coming along to enjoy an alcohol-free event.
Especially with your band as well, because I think like there was a lot of people that go to see
people
your band like, that were coming
just-
along last year because
Just
you
to
were
have
playing.
just eyes, they just go to gigs, and it was just a good opportunity, a nice gig for them to go to. So it's been cool.
Definitely. And if you've got an interest in coming along to our events or finding out what we do, just have a look on my social media pages at Recovery Collective, and you'll get all the details there. Shaun, Hazy Sundays, very productive time for you recently. What's been happening there?
So we've been, obviously, well, I was going to say obviously everybody would know, we've been crowdfunding for our debut album over the sort of like the last 6 months, which has been amazing. So we've done really well with the crowdfunder, and we raised a lot of funds, and we've been recording the album. So we've got 2 more tracks to go, and that'll be the album finished, which has been an absolutely amazing sort of experience for me. Even the whole recording process this time's been great as well. We've been in a really good studio and working with a really good producer, and it's just been like sort of through that as well. We've been starting to build up a really good sort of following and sort of fan base, and we've been doing a lot of gigs and stuff as well. So it's been an amazing experience, and we're going to be releasing our album. I think it's going to be at the 4th of July. We're going to be released. It's called Chaos and Harmony, and we'll be.
Good name.
Get it pressed to vinyl and CD and everything. So this will be our first sort of like vinyl release as a band, which I'm really looking forward to having our finished product actually on vinyl. It's going to be amazing experience.
You're playing Recovery Connects this year.
A year off.
Are you doing a album launch gig?
So the album launch gig is going to be the 18th of July,
18th
at Nice and Sleazy's. So.
Nice.
Which has been great as well, and we could see there's been that sort of change. It's almost at a sellout, and it's great. Do you know what I mean? There's been that sort of progression with the band, and it's been great because obviously like doing this crowdfunding, it's gave a lot of exposure as well. Just sort of like to a newer audience and stuff, and just been overwhelmed by how much sort of support we've had, and how much help we've got towards it. So. It's great, so I just busy non-stop with it, but it's been a great buzz.
You see, it seems to be a kind of common thing for bands now, isn't it? Where they're going to have to go out there and kind of fund their own kind of recording and studio time. And
definitely, and it's that thing. It's a crowdfunder, but essentially it's like it's basically a pre-order campaign.
Yeah.
So it's like essentially it's people have got the opportunity to buy your album, CD, T-shirts. We're even doing stuff like handwritten lyric sheets, just different sort of perks for the band, and it's your opportunity to order and help the band. So essentially, it's a pre-order campaign, but you're crowdfunding it. So no, it's been amazing, and obviously it was that sort of fear, like when you first started, like, what if this doesn't work? Because we'd set our goal at sort of 5k, and we're basically at it now. So it's just been amazing. The whole sort of journey, but it's been great. So,
play your cards right, and you might get to play Recovery Connects next year again.
You're doing well with it, see, because I always see like obviously people like us and we're struggles in that, but like see all the videos online and that where you're going on and promoting it and all that stuff's not easy, like, is it? Because you've got all that self-fucking consciousness and all that, but you've been brilliant doing all that stuff.
Cheers, man. It's been good. So so maybe as Eddie said, I play my cards right. I could play the next event. We were fortunate enough to play the last 2, so I think it was only fair that somebody else got a chance to play it this year, so
Will there be an event next year?
I would think so.
Hope so.
Yep.
Right, okay. Favourite act, favourite memory, Recovery Connect over the last 6 years, Derek?
It has got to be, like, don't get us wrong, Chris Helm, amazing and stuff like that. John Power last year, just chatting to them and things like that, amazing. But the best moment has got to be when Bez came on the stage. Like, kind of, like, I don't think I've never seen the crowd erupt like that. And it was obviously just his son, Arlo was DJing, and it was just like DJing.
What was the song he came on to again?
I can't remember exactly,
It was
but
Jumping though. Was it no a Happy Mondays tune?
it probably was.
It was.
Probably was it? But it just erupted. I've never seen, like, we were
Everybody
on the
was just
stage.
bouncing.
We were at the back of the stage when he went on and that. We were just able to see the crowd, and it was just like, I've never seen that event. Look, see, like, just actually everybody at the barriers, like, it was just packed from start to finish. He said, and he was brilliant. Without a doubt,
Couldn't even get him on the stage.
I know.
He was just swarmed at the start, and but he was so good with everybody.
I
He took his time with everybody, but that was amazing.
Just that moment of him walking onto the stage and the crowd erupting has been mad.
Yeah.
There's been loads of favourite moments, like, but that is the one, like,
There is, and I think you guys are the same as well. There's a stage every year when the event's in mid-flow or something, and you get that minute where you're kind of organising something, where I just step back and watch it, man, and so it's a great feeling, and to see that buzz I get for that. I think last year it was when Shambolics were on, and I just took that bit of time to stand up. The place was packed. The sun was out. I was just looking across it, and it just thinking.
Another big band we had as well, Shambolics.
I know,
big as well, like, so
and that all kind of happened that year because of getting put onto Alan McGee, wasn't it? And him kind of organising some of that stuff. So we need to be kind of thankful to that as well.
Even John Power, it's like just stand and watch him. He just came off like back-to-back tour, like Liam Gallagher, like literally, like I think he just like literally a couple of days before.
They're going to be supporting Oasis as well.
So it's like it was just like that, and then he was just at the back, like
chilling, stringing his guitar up.
What was his wee mate called again?
His wee mate was class.
He just floated a bit, just came
pizza and that. Like, remember we backstage pizza for him and that. Man.
But isn't it? It's like for us, like maybe when we looked at where we came from and stuff, and what we kind of achieved with Recovery Connects and stuff, it start to feel a wee bit normal, that stuff, doesn't it? Now, and
it's good because you just see them, like, because you kind of probably, because when you were younger, you probably seen them up, like, you probably thought they were untouchable, and you just see them as like stars, like, kind of like, wow, but. When you're just sitting there, like we were seeing about Bez, about I'm going to do the weakest link the next day and all that. Like,
came late because he'd broke his teeth.
Having to give him soup and that.
It was outstanding that day, wasn't it? And Shaun, what's your standout favourite moment?
Must be Bez as well. It's like it was just one of these surreal moments. I just remember it was like because we'd been standing back. Obviously, he wasn't late, but he got there pretty much no long before he came on, and then obviously we got him into the back bit, and we were just standing speaking to him, and then we walked out with him for him going to stage, and he was just getting swarmed, and it was just like it was just mad. And then he just went on stage. I'm sure it was a Happy Mondays. Was it Step On or something? I can't remember.
Probably.
But it was just I remember him just like jumping, hands up in the air, and he was just it was just great. It was just a cool, really cool.
See the thing about Bez, you hear so many people over the years, don't you? He's a legend in a lot of areas, not just kind of music, but known to be on benders, and when he plays gigs in certain cities or towns, he meets up with people and stuff like that. But from the second he entered the event, he never walked past one person. I noticed that he stopped for every single person. The guy would still be there now if he didn't get pulled away, kind of thing. And I think that's what people warmed to with him, isn't it?
Definitely, he just gave that. That's what it's all about, is it? It was made a lot of happy people that day.
Patience of a buzz. Patience of a saying
that thing as well. I think what we say is that it's like how mad, like, I know definitely when I was in treatment and stuff, like you got took out for the day to an event, and then you're cutting about with Bez, and it's like it would have been such a surreal moment. It's like you got took to events at Fossil Park Community Centre, and that was a big deal. Never mind getting took took to like an event where you've got Bez and John Power and Kiss and all these like 90s indie legends. It's like it's an amazing thing.
That's what we bring to it, is it? We're bringing that for a lot of people that's their first experience of an event of that nature.
I think a lot of people
have
are
been
just
in recovery, like
they were just buzzing with.
Sell ourselves short sometimes. Somebody said that to you, is like we sell ourselves short about how this event actually makes an impact on people's lives, because we just see it as us coming together and putting on an event, but people really love this event, like, and it does make so many people happy, like.
We have to speak about Alan McGee.
Aye,
don't we?
Aye.
The grumpiest man I've ever met.
But he's still like, I think, what was it? His comment on the video was like, that was just brilliant. Like, it's on like last year's video where he was saying, I thought it was going to be on its arse. It's not on its arse. That's fucking brilliant. McGee, is it? But
says it's not on its arse. It's actually all right. And that's probably the biggest compliment you would get out of something, Alan McGee. But we have a laugh about it, don't we? It was kind of surreal at first, wasn't it? Luckily enough, a friend of ours is a close friend, Alan McGee, and he passed on his number. But I spoke with my friend that night because we were kind of struggling for bands, weren't we? And I was like, should I ask my friend for his number? My friend's very accommodating, and he just says phone him now, you know? And that's what we need to think about Alan McGee. He was very open to help. And
he don't just phone you like 5 minutes later.
Aye, and he knew what our event was about, you know, and he has got somewhere in him, you know what I mean, regarding that kind of thing, and the fact that he came up to the event, do you know what I mean? And put us on to the managers, the Shambolics, John Powers, and people like that, you know, he gave us a great punt up. Didn't he, when it came to that, and he still stays in touch. Still stays in touch, offering bands. He even got his tickets to
Brian Jonestown Massacre.
You know, just contact us, ask if we wanted on that. So it's things like that. Do you know what I mean? We laugh about it, don't we? But it's like people are like, how are you in touch with Alan McGee? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't actually know. But he tries his best. You know, he's always giving his advice as well, even if it's not bands that he works with and stuff. He's gave his advice this year regarding contact and stuff.
And he could have had us a few different people this year. It's obviously like, we've got what our musical style and influences, and we're looking for a certain type of thing. But he could have got us plenty of bands in that for this year as well. It just wasn't exactly what we were looking for. Like, I mean, but he's been dead helpful and good guy. Like, it's another thing as well. It's just Surreal standing backstage with him, like, just because again, it's like the guy that started Oasis or seen it, spotted Oasis and that, and we've kind of got him at the review event, and he's just like a normal grumpy guy, like, but actually there's just something quite endearing about it, like, I mean, he's all right,
definitely. Once you know what he's like, then he's done his proud regarding that as well. Right, before we finish up,
what was your favourite? Did you say what your favourite?
Obviously, Bez, because he was like a hero, wasn't he, man? When I was growing up as well, you know, Happy Mondays. But I think I was a wee bit more kind of caught up in getting him about and getting him to stage and stuff like that, you know, to rather appreciate it. I think you mentioned his boy Arlo as well. He was a Diamond Day guy, do you know what I mean? He was an absolute Diamond Day guy. But as I said earlier, moment-wise,
the
Shambolics were playing, and I was stood there, man, and just something I was like, that's turned into something, you know.
That was cool.
I pictured it to look like that way back then. Do you know what I mean? I did. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to.
See, what was another good one as well? Aziz Ibrahim, when he came and played with Resurrection, he was playing all the Stone Roses tunes. Like, that was kind of like as close as we're getting to the Stone Roses playing at our gig. Like, it was brilliant, because there was another just any of the people that really nice guy.
Aziz was messaging after that, trying to get like sets.
He loved the event, didn't he?
I've gigged with Aziz since that and spoke to him. I remember that. Like,
he's kicking off. I think we were like, was it Ricky for Resurrection? Because I was like, he's kicking off because he had to carry all his gear up for, like, because Queen's Park, like the car park's quite far away from where the arena is, and I was like, he's kicking off because he was just going off. He's not, and Ricky was just like to me, bless him. He had to carry his own guitars and all that up.
And he carries some amount of equipment. He's got pedal boards like the width for this room.
I know.
So just before we get finished up, I asked both of you to choose two songs that have been significant in your life. Maybe not your two favourite songs to listen to or something, but two significant songs for your life and why they're significant. Derek, you want to tell us your first one?
So first one is Stone Roses, Made of Stone, like. Okay, I mean, for me, it's like when I was growing up, I used to go like Resurrection, dance music, probably listen to a bit of Pink Floyd and that when I was younger, smoking cannabis and stuff like that. But see, when it was on like Stone Roses on a tape deck, like, and I used to just listen to the tape constantly. But it was that first moment of like, wow, music, different type of music, and it was just, and I think that song, Made of Stone, it's just got a sort of vibe to it, like, it's, I don't, hard to describe it, like, but when I listen to it, it just makes me think of being young and in the scheme, like, and round about the madness and the chaos and growing up in Adler, the Bosnia box and Adler shops and all that and all the madness. And you can just imagine like cars on fire and just madness. But it's a song that just captures my life in the 90s, like, growing up, like, and it was the first songs that kind of just made me stand up and pay attention to music outside of dance music, like Resurrection style stuff and Pink Floyd. That was the only real band I listened to. The odd thing here and there, but it was my first thing that took me into that type of music, like.
Yeah. And your second song?
Second song, probably much similar, like, it was the Charlatans, How High. Same again, kind of came at the same time, right? Because it's like both those albums. I think the Stone Roses was out for a while, like, but I just wasn't really into it. But it was when the Charlatans Telling Stories came out, like, and How High. And I just remember the music video. And if you watch it now, it's probably the most simplest music video you'll ever get, like, the five of them walking about a forest, be like baggy fucking cagoule jackets on, like, and I went and bought the replica jacket of it and that. But it was just like, wow, people are really cool. He's really cool, Tim Burgess. Like, just great band. The two bands that really changed my musical. Obviously, your musical taste evolves over the years, and it's kind of, but that's where it started for me, was the Stone Roses and the Charlatans, like, and then everything else evolved for that because it just started to open my mind, like, and those two albums, Stone Roses and the Charlatans Telling Stories, are just two albums that just take me right back to when I was like 15, 16-year-old, like, and running about, I mean, me, all my friends and all that, all the stuff that shaped your life as a young person, like,
Thanks, Dick.
Cheers, man.
Shaun, what's your first song?
Well, probably my first song, right? It's not my favourite Oasis, but it's probably Cigarettes and Alcohol, right? And I just remember, so like high school, sort of like when I'd sort of like moved to high school, it was probably the same as myself. See, like early, like primary school, like late primary school, it was dance music. It was all like people were into other sort of rave stuff, the wee sort of scene I was going about. But then I moved to my high school and it was like right indie, people were into bands and it was like mod. And just starting to learn the guitar, just that opening riff of Cigarettes and Alcohol, just that total opening riff just gave us that like, whoa, this is cool. And a Les Paul guitar, and just really it was just like, this is my music, this is just what I'm into, just the whole feel about it, the whole look of it, just the whole thing about sort of Oasis and stuff, that was just sort of changed. So probably that thing, it's like takes us back to my youth and getting into sort of that genre of music. And then sitting would probably be was probably a bit of change in my sort of music taste would be like when I started getting into like the Libertines. So I would say like Don't Look Back Into the Sun.
Don't look back into the sun. Now you know that the time has come, and they said it would never come for you.
There's a prime example, and that was that sort of change where it was like, it was a bit more sort of chaotic sounding. It wasn't this clean cut and rock. It was just a bit a bit punky, and it was just that excitement. It was like a new band, and it was just a sort of change. And I was obviously playing in my bands, and it was just it's just one of these songs that just takes us back to my youth and just the fun times growing up and discovering new bands and the whole scene of music, a whole new scene, and just the sort of excitement surrounding it.
Music does that, doesn't it? See, when you get to that stage, and it could be different stages of life, it doesn't have to happen at a certain age, but you hear music, that something changes the music world, and it usually is a teenager or whatever you're speaking to, Derek and Shaun, when you get to that stage. But that music never leaves you, doesn't it? No,
Yeah.
you know that's like constantly there, and so many bands come out since then, and you listen to something. But it's something so special about going back to that first time where you really got it, you felt that music, wasn't it? And they seen at that time and how you felt at that time. You know, that kind of youth thing, isn't it? You know,
Definitely.
and I get lost in the youth of the day. I'm not getting that few bands, but they are. You know what I mean? Because we're all
That's just their bands they're growing up with.
No, you kind of listen to it and you're just like, but I was listening to it, I can't remember, but it was like, I can't remember. It was something about Jesus was taking cocaine. It was a song that's in the charts just now where it speaks about, I think Jesus done cocaine. I was just like, where was I? It was in a shop, and I was just like, this is the state of life now. But sometimes it's just like, is it because I'm getting old? Like, but
but I think some of the stuff out there now is rubbish.
Yeah.
That's
Right, okay. It's nearly time.
Brilliant.
Thank you both for coming
Thank
on the
you,
show
Eddie.
tonight.
Thanks, Eddie.
And just to be a reminder again to anybody listening, Recovery Connects Music Festival, Sunday the 6th of July, Queen's Park Arena, Glasgow. Gates open at 12. First act on at 12:15, and we finish at 6:30. So anybody's welcome. Alcohol-free event. We have a
Family
great
friendly.
lineup, and it's family friendly, and it'd be good to see everybody there. If anybody's watching us for the first time and you want to get more for the Listen Up podcast, we're on all platforms. If you could subscribe to our YouTube channel at Abacare, our Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, it's all there for you to look at. Thank you, Shaun. Best of luck with the Hazy Sundays band and the album coming out. And Derek, thanks for coming on and being a guest. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.